This is Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and before we start the lesson we're going to need to tune up because he's not exactly in a standard tuning. In fact, the whole guitar isn't quite in tune. I've tuned it to the recording so that when you play along with the recording it'll sound just like it. Let's start with the low E string, the 6th string. Next up, the 5th string, the A string. Then the 4th string, the D string. Then the 3rd string, the G string. Then the B string, the 2nd string. And finally the high E string, the 1st string. Okay, now that we're tuned up, let's go through some of the techniques we're going to need to learn to play the song. Okay, first we're going to go over some of the techniques you're going to need to know to play the song, those being the chords and some single note things that you're going to need to know too. The first thing we're going to cover is the power chord. Now a power chord is a 2-note chord. And the way we form it is we use our first finger on any given string. The power chord can be built on any of these 3 strings, the 6th, 5th, or 4th string. We're going to use the 6th string because that's the first chord of the song. And we're up here on the 12th fret. I'm using my index finger. Next we're going to bring our 3rd finger to the next string over 2 frets higher. In this case my 3rd finger is on the 14th fret of the 5th string. And then we're going to pluck only those 2 strings. You can see my picking hand here. And I'm going to pluck just those 2 strings. Now in this particular song we're only going to need to know it in 3 positions. The 12th, we're going to move it down to the 10th, and in other parts we're going to use it on the 10th fret with our root here on the 5th string. Now in the case of this song, all we need to do is move our 3rd finger over as long as we just stick to picking these 2 strings here, the 5th and the 4th. So you can see how I have to carefully pick any given set of strings to create the power chord. Next up is the hammer-on, and the hammer is when you strike a note and then fret the next note by using some velocity in your finger here. Thus it's called a hammer-on to get the next note. And in this song we're going to keep our finger barred here across these strings and hammer from 12 to 14 here, and then the same thing on the 4th string. Now the last technique you're going to need to know is bending a string. Now to bend a string, what you do is apply pressure to the string, and while you're applying pressure, move the string upwards on the fretboard like so. And that lets the string sustain, and by pushing the string up you bend the pitch up a little bit. Just like that. So with that covered, let's move on to the intro of the song. This is the intro riff to a couple times through. You may have noticed I created a loop. I use SoundForge for that. That's the computer program that I use. So if you want to get a real cool thing to practice with and create loops with, check out SoundForge. It's an awesome program. Okay, here's how it starts. We're going to bar the 12th fret using our 1st finger on the 6th string and 5th strings. And we're going to pluck just those notes. And then we're going to use the hammer-on technique that we learned earlier in the lesson to hammer on to the 14th fret on the 5th string. So it's going to look like this. That's what it looks like slow. Now sped up to the speed he does, it looks like this. Next we're going to move to the 5th string, and we're going to hammer from the 12th fret to the 14th fret there as well. Just single notes this time. Then we're going to do the same thing on the 4th string. So that looks like this. So what we have so far is this. Then we're going to go back here, do this one more time. And then we're going to move to the 12th fret 4th string, and then back to the 14th fret on the 5th string. Now this note here, in some cases, is kind of muted in the recording. Kind of like that. So the whole thing looks like this. And he repeats that a number of times before we get to the verse. So there's the first riff. Let's move along to the verse. Okay, I've queued up the verse to this. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We're going to start on the 12th fret, and we're going to mute the strings a little bit with the heel of our hand as we strum them. So it's going to look something like this. Notice I'm not strumming them like this. That's what you don't want to do. You see how loose my hand is there. If you mute them with the heel of your hand, you get something that's a little more percussive. And we're going to strum that a few different sets of 8. 2 sets of 8. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I like to divide things into sets of 8 because they are 8th notes instead of trying to count 16. And then we're going to move it down to the 10th fret, and we're going to do 1 set of 8. Move our 3rd finger over to the 4th string, strum just the 5th string and 4th string. That one we're going to sustain. We're not going to mute that. We're actually going to let that one sustain. Back to the chord we had a minute ago. Index finger on 10th fret 6th string and 3rd finger 12th fret 5th string. We're going to sustain that one. And then we're going to go back to 12th fret. From there we're going to move our 1st finger over to the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, barring them all and playing those. Real quick note, just play it and then mute it using the heel of your hand. So what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, sustained, sustained, sustained. Here it is up to speed. And from there he goes into this part, which we'll learn in a minute, the part that goes. So there we go. There's the verse riff. Let's move along to the chords between each verse. Alright, here's the chords between the verses. Alright, here's what we're doing. We're going to start on the 12th fret, hit that note only once, and sustain it. Move it down to 8th, then to 10th, and then 12th fret for 2 sets of 8, muted. So again, that's 12, 8, 10, 2 sets of 8 muted. 12, 8, 10, 2 sets of 8 muted. And from there it's back into the verse again. So there's the chords between the verses. Let's move along to the next part of the song. Okay, this section of the song is the closest thing that the song has to a chorus, so we'll just call it the chorus. Okay, for this, we're just moving between 12th fret, sustained, 1 strum only, to 10th, back to 12th, back to 10th, and then back into the verse riff. Again, that's 12, 10, 12, 10, and then back to the verse. So that one's pretty easy. Let's move along to the next part of the song. Okay, so there it is once, actually twice with the music. Let's dig in and learn the whole solo now. It all starts with a bend on the 9th fret, and we're going to bend it, release it, and then pull the 7th. This is all on the 3rd string, and it's going to look like this. And then we're going to hammer back to 9, so we have this. And then from there we're going to go to 7 to 9 twice, and then back to 7. So the whole thing looks like this. Then we're going to move our 3rd finger to the 9th fret on the 4th strings, and then we're going to slide that down to 7. And then our 1st finger is going to go to 5th. So the whole thing looks like this. Then we're going to hammer to 7 twice. And then the same thing here on the 5th string, 5th fret to 7th fret, 1st finger, 3rd finger. So what we have so far is this. Again. Now we're going to wrap it up with this little figure here. 1st finger, 5th fret, 4th string. And then 3rd finger to 7th fret, 5th string, and we're going to hit that note twice. And the rhythm to that is like. So here's our whole riff. Consider that the first section of the solo. Next we're going to go 1st finger, 4th string, 5th fret, and we're going to hammer to 7th. Then pluck 7th and slide it to 9th. Like so. Then we're going to move to 7th fret on the 3rd string and hammer to 9th from there. And then pluck that 9th fret twice. So what we have so far is this. Then we're going to do 9, or 7 rather, to 9 again, 3rd string. Move 1st finger over to 8th fret, 2nd string. And then 3rd finger to 10th fret, also on the 2nd string. So it looks like this. So the whole thing. Then we're going to bend 10th fret on the 2nd string, release it, and go back to 8th fret, like so. So there that is a few times. So what we have so far is this. And then we're going to land here on the 9th fret, 3rd string, bring 1st finger back to 7th fret, 3rd string, slide it up to 9, and hit that note 4 times. So there's our whole riff for the second part. And you might want to listen to the recording closely to get the rhythm of that one down, because it sounds a little funny played really slow. Okay, on to the next part. From there, we come up to the 12th position here, where our first finger is going to bar the second string and first string, and our second finger is going to go to the third string on the 14th fret, and we're going to bend that note and then sweep through the notes that we have fretted on the 12th fret. Just like that. Now I'm going to pull this up on the computer so we can play it slowly along with the music a little bit later. But for now, we just know we're going to go like this. Then we're going to take our third finger to the second string, 15th fret, and we're going to hit two bent notes there. So what we have so far is this. Then we're going to go regular 15 to regular 12, still on the second string. So we have this. Bring third finger over to 15th fret, first string, and hit that one 3 times bent. And the third time we're going to pull to the 12th fret, so it's going to look like this. So the whole thing. Then we're going to do this little lick here, which is 15 pull to 12 on first string, then 15 pull to 12 on the second string. So we do that twice. Then we're going to bend the 15th fret on the second string, release it, and pull to 12. So what we have here is this. So the whole thing. From there we're going to do the first lick of this that we saw again. Then we're going to go to 15th and pull to 12th on the second string, and then land on the 14th fret of the third string. So what we have there is this. So our whole lick looks like this. And then we're going to wrap it up with 14th pulling to 12th, moving our third finger over to 14th on the fourth string, and then 12 here, and then 14 bend, pull to 12 for our last note. So that whole lick really slow. And I'm going to play the whole solo along with the music slowly after we get through the last lick of the song, so that you can see what I'm doing in the rhythm that it occurs in, just a minute after we get through this last lick. Now the last lick is going to go like this. That's it really slowly. It starts with a bend on the third string, and we don't release it, we just bend it with a little staccato note there, meaning it's a short note. So it's bent and then muted. From there we go to the 12th fret, also on the third string with our index finger, with a quick 12, hammer to 14 and back to 12. After that, we're going to move to the 14th fret on the 4th string again, and then back to 12th, 3rd string. So that whole thing looks like this. Then we're going to hit 14 again, pull to 12, then go to 14 on 5th string, and then back to 12 on the 4th string. So that whole lick looks like this. And that's pretty much the rhythm of it. From there, we're going to move our third finger down to 12 and play a couple eighth notes, 12 to 10 on the fifth string. And then we're going to do the same thing again with a pull and land on the sixth string with our third finger. So it's going to look like that. So from there, after that, we're going to kind of flop our third finger over to the 12th fret on the fifth string, slide up the 14th fret, then 12th fret, 4th string once, then hit it again, hammer, and then 12th fret, 3rd string. So that little part of the solo looks like this. And then we wrap it up with this little thing, the 14, 12, 14, 12, 14. So when we put all those segments together, what we end up with is this. One more time for you. So now let's play that slowly along with the music for you a couple times. I'm going to slow it down with SoundForge program, and hopefully that'll give you a better understanding of how these fit together. Give me a second here. Just grabbing my preset, slowing it down about a third of the tempo. So we're at about 66% of what the tempo would be. Okay, so there it is slow. So far we've gone over it quickly, played along with the music, then note for note, and then played slowly along with the music. So hopefully that'll give you a better understanding of the solo. I'd put it as an intermediate solo on a level of difficulty. So if you're a beginner, you might want to just hack through it and do your best. If you're an intermediate guitarist, you may want to strive to get it note for note. If you're advanced, you may have a harder time remembering it than technically playing it. But I would say go ahead and try to memorize it. It's a good exercise to, increase your memory ability with your brain. Let's go ahead now and play along with the entire tune where we put all the parts together. That's the part of the lesson where you really prove to yourself that you know the song well if you can get along through it flawlessly. So in the next segment, I'm going to do that. Feel free to play along with me.